All right, good evening, everyone. Pep Man Matt Morrow, Charlotte Football Insiders. Welcome to Friday Night Live, the most infamous Friday night show in Charlotte because we are the only one. Uh, it's been a fun night. It's been a fun night covering football across the region. We were at several different games, and of course we have a group chat where we talk about everything. It's been entertaining. So to start things off, of course, me and the producer, we were at West Charlotte at Huff tonight. Huff won that game 37-17. The big thing in this one, Huff got out early. They got out real fast. They scored on their first three drives. They got two touchdown passes. Tad Hudson hit Markel Quick for a touchdown, and then he came back and he hit number 12. His name escapes me at the moment, but I tweeted it out. That was a nice fade catch in the end zone. And then Nolan Hauser hit a field goal. 17 nothing first quarter lead. And they built on that. After three quarters, they were up 37 to nothing. I think they pretty much dominated the first three quarters on offense and defense. And what I give credit to West Charlotte. Fourth quarter, they did score 17 points. They didn't quit. Coach Griner, has instilled a good mindset into those guys. Um, I think Josh Mahatha had a couple touchdown passes. One of those to Chance Morrow, and they did hit, I think, like a 41-yard field goal that was pretty impressive. So, but Huff clearly, won the football game, and they remain undefeated on the season. One of the things that I need to set straight, defense coordinator Chachi Sullivan said, I am Huff's number one fan. In an interview he did with the Queen. And, I'm here to tell you right now, there's no way that I'm Huff's number one fan. Number one fans have to be at every game and they have to pick, that team to win every time. There's no way that I pick any team to win every time. Especially not Huff because they seem to like it when I don't pick them. So, but I love everybody, including the Huskies. So, but I cannot claim to being their number one fan, unfortunately. I'm sorry, Coach Sullivan. There you go. All right. Hey, we got a comment. Chris Hagler, what's up, Pep? Thanks for all your coverage of high school football. Hey, like I told somebody at the Lake Norman and Hickory Ridge game last night that I covered. I do this because it keeps me out of trouble. I've failed in other areas of my life, and football will never fail me. So, and that fan, if you're watching, you know exactly what our conversation was like. So he's probably laughing if he's watching. So, but I'm gonna bring on the Queen. She's here, and I'm gonna let her talk about her game tonight, which was Weddington taking on Porter Ridge. What's up, Queen?
Going on, man?
Oh man, it's been a fun evening.
It has been. It definitely
All right,
has been.
absolutely. So, tell us about Weddington and Porter Ridge.
Well, the game started out pretty even. Defense was present, for both sides. The first half of the game, Weddington got out and scored first, and then, of course, Porter Ridge came back with a score of their own. So we were all tied going into halftime. But something sparked in that Weddington team. I think it may have been Porter Ridge's student section yelling that Weddington needed Shipley, which, if you don't know who that is, that was their former running back who was a really, really dynamic player for that team. And I think that, Kyle Parsons had something to say about that because he scored three touchdowns in that game. Um, And I mean, their defense was all over the ball, forced two fumbles in the third and fourth quarter, one for one of Kyle Parsons' touchdowns. So, a really exciting game. I think Weddington had a statement to make. I think one of the questions I asked Parsons after the game was, after losing RGK 3 weeks ago, how would they come out, or what was their mindset coming into this game? They blanked two teams before beating this Porter Ridge team, you know, um, and holding them to seven. So, and he was saying that, it was just, it's the mentality to win, and with all the great coaches that they have, and the great team that they have, which was very evident in that game. They ended up being too much for Porter Ridge at the end of it. um, Hats off to Porter Ridge, because they did, they had a lot of plays, they made a lot of plays during that game, trying to keep some momentum going. I know Danny Kennedy, number 24 for Porter Ridge, he had a couple big runs. He had one that got down to like the 3 yard line, and that was actually the one quarterback keeper where they scored, the one score that they had. But like I said, just in the end, it was just too much, and not to take anything away from Porter Ridge, because I do feel like that they're still very much a team that can be a problem for people, but just not enough for Weddington tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it's no shame in losing to Weddington, but I mean, it seems like ever since they gave up those 38 points to RGKL, I don't think they've allowed any points, have they?
Uh, Boy, that's what I mean. Like 3 weeks, a total of 7 points they've allowed on again, with their opposition, and it's just,
Yeah,
it's mind blowing, the way that defense has played, the last 3 weeks.
yeah. I mean, that just another kudos and hats off to the Weddington coaching staff. Some people predicted that they were not going to be the team they were or they currently are this season, but we know better. That's for sure. All right, so we got a couple comments here. Let's address these games, and then we'll hit the scoreboard and kind of go from there. So, all right, Marcus Bell, Kings Mountain 24, South Point 7. Kings Mountain defense stepped up big tonight. Young guys growing up every week. Good day to be a Mountaineer. See, you didn't know. I knew that. Uh-huh.
I did not.
But I mean, that's awesome. That's all. That's a big win for Kings Mountain. That was a game we did talk about, and we talked
Mhm.
about the best ways to slow that South Point offense down, and obviously Kings Mountain, found a great scheme to do that, and that's a big win. That's a big win.
Um, I do remember us picking. Didn't we pick that game?
Maybe,
I
maybe
think we
not.
did. Hmm.
I'm not sure. Did you pick Kings Mountain?
I sure did.
Well, no wonder you remember.
Yeah, of course I remember. I think everybody picked South Point.
Oh well, hey, we've been plenty wrong this year.
How quickly? I know, right? It seems like every time we pick a team to win, the opposite happens. I swear.
There's a lot of motivation been going on.
It is.
A lot of
Yeah, man.
motivation.
Motivate the people.
But that's a huge win for Kings Mountain.
It
That
is.
gets them, a leg up in the conference race as we get closer to the playoffs. So good stuff there. And we talk about bad predictions. Here comes another one. Ardrey Kill beating South Mech. Huge win, for Ardrey Kill. And, watching some of the updates from that, Ardrey Kill got out fast and, withstood a good, comeback effort by South Mech on their home field. And, the reason why this is big is, Ardrey Kill had lost to Myers Park the week before. So they had to have this win to stay in a good place for a possible conference championship.
Mm-hmm.
For South Mech, they're still okay. First conference loss for them. They still have Myers Park down the line, which we're looking at RGKL, Myers Park, and South Mech as the top three in the SOMEC, and then Olympic too. Olympic has been playing good football. I believe they won tonight, but we'll check when we get to the scoreboards. Oh, Miss Burlos, it's not just me. We all picked you guys. Why do I get the tag? Why do I always get the tags?
Get on the hashtag.
Dang, oh man. Oh, that hurts. That hurts. But seriously, for RGKL, that's a huge win. And like I said, for South Met, they got time to bounce back and recover, from that. It's still, a few games left in conference play. All right. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Kyle. Thank you. I love how you guys just love to attack my misery. That's this. Anyway, so Kyle also sharing. Talking about Mooresville. They got it rolling in a big way tonight. Complete game all around, 42-7 over South Iredale. And I mean, that's good. That's good because we just saw South Iredale defeat West Cabarrus earlier this week. So, South Iredale is a capable team. And, granted that, I think they played 3 games in 7 days. But still, Mooresville played on Monday also. So, it is what it is. But congratulations to Mooresville. We'll take a look at RPI rankings next week and see where that may have put them with that victory, and everyone for that matter. All right. Let's see. We got the engine and the professor here, Mr. Kenneth McClamrock, and we're going to bring him on and see what he has to say. Where is he? All right, well, we'll work out those technical difficulties. The queen is back. I'll tell you, it's a crazy night, man. Someone told me something was in retrograde, and that's supposed to make things crazy. Mercury or something? I don't know. Or was it, I don't know, something like that. If y'all know what I'm talking about, yeah, whatever. I don't know. It's weird stuff going on. Weird stuff. Anyway. All right. Let's see. Chris Hager's got some updates here. Greater Metro 4A Wild Conference. West Cabarrus over A.L. Brown. Who would have thought A.L. Brown would be winless? That's interesting. So Kyle's got a little more on that game. Said A.L. Brown lost 19-18 to West Cabarrus. A.L. Brown had 4th and goal from the 1, 30 seconds left, threw incomplete pass in the end zone to lose the game. Oh, man. Rough times, man. Rough times. But that's a big win for West Cabarrus after that tough loss to South Iredale. So, good stuff for them. Joe, I'll tell you, man. Seriously, what was that other comment? Let me address this. Hold on. It says, Webb said you won't do everything for a chicken wings. I talked to Webb. I had a problem, at work today, and I had to work late, and I couldn't get to Creston Shelby. I'm sorry. He told me he had to cancel the chicken order. But it's all good. But anyway, we're going to try to get the engine once again. Let's see if we got it worked out. What's up?
What's up, guys?
What's going on?
How you doing, man?
I was fulfilling my husbandly duties. I got home and Maggie was still awake. So I wasn't expecting her to be up. She wanted to talk.
I'm glad you clarified that. It's 12:01, so we always preface this. It gets weird on here after midnight. So.
True that.
All right. let's quickly talk about your game. Um, J.M. Robinson at North Stanley.
Yeah, a real defensive shutdown or defensive show by both teams. I got there about 3 or 4 minutes into the first quarter. North Stanley actually blocked J.M. Robinson's punt. They were punting from, I don't know, inside their 10, it looked like. I was on the other side coming in. J.M. Robinson's defense held them. Both defensive fronts did an extremely good job in wet conditions, obviously helped that. But, of course, J.M. Robinson's defense front, we've talked about that on the show. But I was really impressed by North Stanley. North Stanley, big number 52, Walker, I believe was his name. Holy cow, big 72. Then they had 3 linebackers, 6, 7, and 8, and they all 3 looked identical because they were covered in mud. They were all about the same build, the same size. But I thought they played lights out, man. Final score was 21-7, J.M. Robinson, but it was 7-7 at halftime. Of course, my boys at halftime want to go talk to Coach D-Rob and Coach Holden, Coach Riggins, and all those guys. I'm like, boys, let's hold on. It's a close football game at halftime. Let's give them some space. Blue Monroe scored all 3 touchdowns for J.M. Robinson. One of them was a nice 18-yard run. Made a couple of nice passes. Of course, the weather really prevented it. But I thought the Blue had an even bigger impact at linebacker. The Hobbs kid, who was a big tight end, defensive end for J.M. Robinson, he got offered by Coastal Carolina, I believe, this week, had a monstrous game. I mean, every time North Stanley ran the ball anywhere to his side, he made the play. He was just all over the place. But a great defensive game tonight. If you like those kinds of things, I like to score a lot of points personally. But, was super pumped. Great hospitality by North Stanley once again. It's amazing how almost every school I've ever been to these 2 years, Pep, the hospitality is so great. They really roll out the red carpet for us. CFI, they want us to be there. They want us pubbing their team. Only one school really hasn't done that for me. But anyhow, good game tonight. Congratulations. J.M. Robinson, I believe, is now 6-1. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I believe that is. I believe that's accurate. So congratulations to J.M. Robinson. Great job for those guys, and I mean, for North Stanley for being, competitive and in that game. I mean, I think.
Pep, I tweeted out afterwards. I didn't tag him, you guys. I don't think, but I think they're probably the best 2-4 2A team in the state. They lost in overtime to North Stanley. They lost a 1-possession game to Randleman. They lost a 1-possession game to somebody else. So they literally could be easily 4-2, if not 5-1. I mean, they're big, they're athletic. North Stanley they were 7-0 last year when they hit COVID, first round of the playoffs. They're a well-coached team. I thought they played their butts off, and I was really impressed by them. I had not seen them in a couple of years. Saw them play against Northwest when I was still coaching, but was really impressed with them.
That's awesome stuff, man. Awesome stuff. Good for both of those programs. I mean, it really is. It's good to see. It's good to see. And J.M. Robinson, sitting, in a really strong position, at the top of that conference, and probably gonna be a high seed if they continue on this path. So that's awesome.
They still have a big showdown the last week versus Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant still has to play North Stanley. I think this time of the year, you have injuries and you have bump ups. That plays such a big role right now. Of course, the unknown with COVID, that plays such a big role. But I like where D-Rob has his guys right now, the energy and the excitement. There is an expectation to win, which is not what those guys had last year, 5 games into the season. Even though they were 5-0, they expect to win. And even when it was a close game, you could just tell they knew that they were going to win. They were just waiting on something good to happen. On the flip side, where some teams are just waiting on something bad to happen.
Yeah, and that mindset and mentality, can set, teams apart, clearly.
I did see teams shake hands for the first time tonight. I tweeted about that. I don't know if Charlotte's doing that yet, but it's the first time that I've seen it since COVID. and it was so good to see teams shake hands after the game, especially after such a hard fought, tough, emotional game. So I don't know what they're doing in Charlotte yet, but I was glad to see that.
They did it
Yeah.
at Weddington too.
Love it.
They shook hands
Love it.
after that game too. It was
What a
really
great
cool.
game that was. Three had to be.
It was.
All right, good stuff. So
I put TMI.
yeah, I was gonna just kind of let that go, but you know, I appreciate Joe chiming in on that too. But anyway, I don't have those problems. I don't have those problems over here. I come home and do my work. I have no one to answer to. So positive sides of being available.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
No, I don't get on that one. Anyway, let me not go there. All right. So we'll stay on topic because this is Friday Night Live and we ain't on the big show. So, all right, let's get the scoreboard up and go through the other scores from tonight and share a few comments here. So let me get that up here. Okay, so all right, we got Northwest Cabarrus over Carson, 36-30.
Close.
That's a good win. Yeah. I was kind of surprised to see it that close, but good job for Northwest Cabarrus. North Mech backing up that win they had over Mallard Creek, 21-16 over West Mech. It's another win for North Mech, building that resume to try to get possibly a wild card berth into the playoffs. Because they now sit at 4-2 on the season.
The power of the show, Pep.
I will see about getting Coach McKee on the show next week because we had that request. Now Myers Park beat Harding 37-0, but here's what you don't know. So at halftime of this game, it was 0-0, and I'm gonna tell you right now, Van Smith, is a dang on defensive genius. To have that team tied with Myers Park 0-0 at halftime, that is commendable. That is commendable because of what's going on at the school and the numbers at that program and what Myers Park has. Proud of those guys. Now, second half, Myers Park went in, and I'm sure some things were said and some things got adjusted, and they obviously came out second half on fire, but I know I got to shout out, Harding for that. That's a tremendous effort for that first half. But, on the Myers Park side of things, I'm sure, that first half, they had been struggling on offense the last two games, and then to come out there and then halftime for that first half and struggle like that, I'm sure someone's had to say enough was enough. I'd love to get some more information on that. But good win for Myers Park. Keeps them in pace, for that conference title. They're going to have a big matchup with South Mech down the road. That's really going to, help determine this race. And then they still have Olympic as well coming down the line. All right. Speaking of Olympic, they defeat Berry 26-14. They moved to 5-1 on the season. Providence over Independence 44-12, and I have some stats from Coach Ward, who always does a great job sending these over when Providence wins. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm not saying it like but I mean, I'm just saying. Because the quarterback Brady Hibbert was 12-20 for 230 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jamar Price had 75 yards on the ground with a touchdown. Reed Herring at receiver had 2 catches for 126 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Catches for 126?
That's a hell of an average, isn't it?
That's a good night.
And then Anthony Tandow had 2 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown. So a lot of good offensive numbers for Providence tonight. And
crazy rainy night.
Yeah, and that's 2 wins this week for Providence because they defeated Mooresville on Monday. So they're getting it going. They're getting it going. I think 2 weeks ago someone asked on the show about Providence and can they turn around, and I said absolutely. They've been playing tough teams, and now they're getting to a part of their schedule where they can kind of take advantage of some things, and they're doing it. It's been two big wins. We talked about RGK defeating South Meck 21-17.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. That RGK got out in that game. I think it was 21-0 actually,
Wow.
and then South Meck was trying to come back and just fell a little bit short at the end. Chambers, they had their ring ceremony at Chambers, and I saw some pictures on social media of the rings. The rings look really nice. And they celebrated with a 67-0 win over Hopewell. So, congrats to Chambers on that. We talked about Huff, obviously, of West Charlotte. That's where me and the producer were earlier, 37-17. Butler continuing quietly to dominate, 39-8 over Rocky River. Talked to the Queen. Queen said she's going to be at Catholic and Butler next week already.
Boy, I will be there.
I'm gonna get to those comments. Y'all just hold off over there in just a second. Y'all are crazy. Let's see. West Weddington 27-7 over Porter Ridge. Kenneth, your old school Central Bears over East Rowan 13-7.
Two in a row for the Vikings.
Two in a row. So they got it going a little bit. Good job. Thursday night, Stuart Kramer defeated Ashbrook 31-20. Good win for those guys. They're starting to look good for a possible wild card berth out of Gaston County. Charlotte Latin, where Justin was tonight, over Ravenscroft 34-7. Ravenscroft came into this game at 4-1.
Wow.
And Charlotte Latin pretty much walked the dog with him. So Charlotte Latin remaining undefeated on the season and looking impressive. Right now, they got to be a big favorite, but they got a big game. They got to go down to Rabun Gap in Georgia, I think, next week. So that's going to be for the conference lead. So that's what we call exam time. It'll be exam time for Charlotte Latin because Rabun Gap has got some players, D1 level players, and they're well coached on top of that. Marvin Ridge over Cuthbertson 28-14. We talked about, Kenneth, you talked about Cuthbertson on the show earlier this week.
Yeah, that's just, wow. Union County, buddy. Football is played in Union County.
Absolutely. So Marvin Ridge backing up that big win they had over Porter Ridge last week with another quality win right there. Nation Ford walking the dog at Bowling Springs 56-27. Charlotte Christian going down to Harold's Christian, who you saw last week, Kenneth, and they scored 21 unanswered to win that game 28-7.
Wow.
Yeah, so Christian got it going a little bit. York over Catawba Ridge 19-13. I think we all picked York. Thank you, York. You're now making us a believer.
What is going on at Catawba Ridge right now?
Well, I think we talked about it a little bit on the show. I think what it is, from an offensive standpoint, they're just having trouble, finding another playmaker to go with Jacoby Henderson, number 7. We know he's very electric, but I think teams are really keying in on him. And, the other guys are having trouble making consistent, plays to play off of that. So, I think, obviously they're still playing good football. They're not getting blown out or anything. But we talk about Union County. In the upstate of South Carolina, it's the same deal. You got some really good football teams. Like York has only lost one game, and that was the Cox Mill earlier this season. And I think they were down some players for that game. You look at South Point, they're number 2 in the 4A poll. Indian Land has been ranked in the poll. They've only lost one game. York's only lost one game. You got Northwestern in the 5A that's only lost one game. So, and I think Lancaster is, at 500 now after they lost to South Point tonight. But I mean, you don't have a lot of pushovers in the upstate.
Uh,
I mean, Nation Ford is a little bit, you would say, down, but they got Carson Black, who's a D1 quarterback. They got some other guys. So
former Sun Valley kid, I believe, right?
That's correct. So I mean, it's good football in the upstate. I mean, this Charlotte metro area is just ridiculous. It's so fertile of a recruiting ground that, I mean, Catawba Ridge is a good team, but I mean, we just got strong teams this year, at least in certain areas. And that's something I want to talk about on next week's show, by the way, because I don't think we have a dominant team like we've seen in the past, but we have a lot of really good teams. And that's going to make the playoffs really fun this year. Providence Day over Trinity Christian 42-0. That's a good win for Providence Day. I think they're starting to get things going over there. Clover over Fort Mill 44-7. Big win for Metrolina Christian 20-6 over Hickory Grove. Hickory Grove was undefeated going into that game, and Metrolina Christian was 5-1. So now both of those teams sit with one loss. But great win for Metrolina. And Hickory Grove, they'll be okay. They'll bounce back. Sun Valley, big over Piedmont, 42-14. I'll tell you, break up Sun Valley, man. I mean, the interim coach now, we got to find out who the interim coach is. He's doing a heck of a job, man. Because, Piedmont, we had Coach Braswell on the show. They've been playing well. And Sun Valley just kind of walked the dog with them. That's a bit surprising there, but that's a great job. Let's see. Parkwood over West Stanley, 21-7. Our friend Coach Gittens, that's a good win for him. I mentioned South Point defeating Lancaster. The score was 51-13. Those guys got it rolling. Let's see. Mountain Island over Christ the King, big, 60-6. Man. I think Mountain Island, after that loss to Community School Davidson, has really, turned the screws, and they're starting to really fire it up there. Dylan Bisson, I'm sure, with another big game throwing the football. Let's see. Forest Hills over Anson, 52-0. Lake Norman Charter, big over Bear Grass Charter. Where is Bear Grass Charter? Wow. 46-6. Wherever Bear Grass Charter is, somebody post that because I have no idea. All right, your alma mater, Kenneth Concord, over South Oran, 43-0.
4 in a row. They're singing with exaltation.
4-0 in the SPC, man.
Loudly and clear.
I mean, I've heard, I think it was last week I had some Concord people send me, well, not players, sent me DMs on Instagram, like players love to do for some reason.
Private that way. They're very respectful.
And they were saying things, and I think one of them screenshotted the preseason conference thing we had. Well, I had them 7th.
I had them 3rd for the record.
Well, I'll send them your Instagram DM information. So
I'll write back to them. But who would have ever thought that Concord would be sitting at 4 wins in a row and A.L. Brown would be 4 losses in a row? 4-0 in the conference, 0-4 in the conference.
When is the Bell? Is it the last week? The Bell
They're playing
game?
last week, yeah.
Oh man, that's gonna put some juice to the Bell game this year. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
Black and gold will be fired up.
Absolutely. Let me get back to the scoreboard. Where are we? Okay. East Lincoln big over Fred T. Ford, 57-0. Pine Lake big win over Bishop McGinnis, 35-0. I got some stats from Coach Trotter at Pine Lake.
Coach Trotter.
Let me see here.
We got to get Coach Trotter on the show, Pat.
Oh, we can do that. He's always good to get on the show.
I realized a couple of weeks ago we just missed each other at North Mecklenburg. He left the year before we got there in 2002, And then he came back, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years after we left and went back to Concord.
Oh wow, that's all right. Yeah, he's a good dude, man.
He's
I,
he,
I
apparently
think he
he's
was
a little bit older than us.
yeah, yeah. He said they had 339 rushing yards total. Noah Murphy 159 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns, and then Colby Lane had 129 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. And he said they were running the pistol triple option. So
He told me he felt like the team was moving in a right direction 2 weeks ago. They'd missed several games to COVID, but he was really confident in the direction that they were headed.
I did see him Tuesday night because they played Mountain Island, and they got a quarterback in Nick Reed. He was my player of the game. He made some really good reads in that option offense, and he's very athletic, and he can also throw the ball. He's only a junior, so I mean they got some guys. Colby Lane, of course, was one of their big guys last year when they had that special season and made the second round of playoffs. But they got some kids that can play. They just ran into a buzzsaw at Mountain Island on Tuesday, but it was good to see them bounce back tonight. Let's see here. Burns big over Thomas Jefferson, 64-7. Good gracious. And the big one that Joe Hughes was at, Shelby over Crest, 38-28, and another what looks like classic game in their rivalry. I think Shelby was up 28-7, and then Crest started coming back. And did they tie the game, or did they just get close? I can't remember from Joe's updates. Joe, if you're watching, you can chime in if you want to on that. But I'd love to know how the atmosphere was down there. I'm sure it was a lot of people. For the first time these guys have played in 2 years, I'm sure there was a lot of excitement. Mooresville, big over South Iredale. Kyle mentioned that earlier, 42-7. We talked about Kings Mountain over South Point, 24-7. And then we mentioned the West Cabarrus over A.L. Brown, 19-18. Let's see, Northwestern over Blythewood, 28-0 in the upstate. And that's all of the scores that we have. So we got a couple comments right here. Let's go back up here. Miss Moten, I haven't seen any bus posts, but I'm happy Providence getting 2 wins this week.
It's fueled up.
Yeah, gas back in the bus, man. It's good stuff. Good stuff, man. Let's see. Miss Behringer adding in on I think the A.L. Brown game. 4th and goal, 1 minute 30 seconds left. They throw a pick and unfortunately lose. They'll bounce back. Like Kenneth mentioned, before, winning that Bell game is like winning a playoff game. So, even though they've lost 4 in a row and it may be looking down, they still got something to look forward to, for sure up there. Because, I think, what did you say? If you go 1-9 and win the Bell game, it's just as good as making the playoffs.
No, I never said that. Some people may say that.
I think I remember who told me that.
I wanted to go 16-0 and beat Minneapolis.
Right. Makes sense. Okay.
For the record, I left on a 2-game win streak versus those guys.
I love when you throw that in there. EJ, Mountain Island 60-6 over Christ the King. 3 wins in 7 days and 6-1 on the season. Yep.
Get those dudes some ibuprofen. Holy cow.
Yeah, I think they're gonna take it easy for a couple days. But that's a great job. No matter who you're playing, that's hard to do.
Incredible.
And Mountain Island is really playing some good football on both sides of the ball right now. That's impressive. Andy, thank you very much. Quade Chambers, I think he followed me on Twitter. I have to double check that. But we'll have to try to get him on the show because
he'll give a shout out to Pet Man.
Thank you, Andy, for sharing that. Gary sharing. We could see Concord and West Moran for the showdown. Hey.
Concord is in first place right now. They're leading West Rowan by half a game because West had a bye this week.
Oh, okay. When let's see when do they play?
Got to be coming up. The season's winding down.
Let me go to Max Preps and try to find that real quick because
Does Concord have Carson, West, and A.L. Brown left, I believe? So it's one of the next 2 weeks.
Let's see here. Concord Spiders schedule. They have next week. Oh, they've got Northwest Cabarrus next week, and then they play West Rowan on the 22nd at home, and then A.O. Brown for the regular season finale. So it's good they get them at home.
Big game versus Northwest Cabarrus. That'll be huge.
Absolutely.
You said the Northwest game is at Northwest?
Mm-hmm. At Northwest.
I feel it'll be nice and sloppy.
You know a little bit about that.
More clovers than there are Bermuda grass. Dallas grass. I think that place was in Texas.
Oh, man. So Joe Hughes shared that Crest got close, but they never led in that game. So, okay. Good stuff, man. All right. So it's almost that time to shut it down. You guys got any other thoughts?
I think I did pretty good this week on my picks, Pep.
I don't think I did that well.
I'm probably somewhere in the middle. I'm just happy to not be below 500 for once in my life. For real.
Oh, gosh. All right. So in tradition, the last comment. What in the world?
Bunch of jokers. Bunch of jokers.
Oh, man. Oh, well,
it's true.
That's not the last comment. Let's see.
It's true. That's the one game I was talking about.
Thank you for the reminder, Scott.
Nobody told us the receiver was coming back. We didn't know. We get some slide in the DMs on that kind of information for my picks.
We need to start getting injury reports, guys. Come on, coach. We need to know who's playing.
Preferably Wednesday by noon. Can we do that? Congratulations to those guys, man. That's a huge win for AK.
Absolutely. It is. I mean, we talked about this before. We could see a 3-way tie in that SOMEC between those guys. It's crazy. It is crazy. But this is a really good time of the year. You're starting to get down to the last couple of weeks of regular season. Then we're going to have to start looking at the RPIs again and projecting who's going to be where based on, possible finishes in the conference. So, yeah, we might start seeing some more 2-hour football-focused weekly shows. But you guys love it. I mean, come on. You get more of us and you get more football. What better way to spend a Wednesday night?
None.
Like a chicken wing buffet.
On that note, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Good night, everybody.